So in this video, I want to show you how not to burn your house down. Charging your batteries. Wow. Let's go. This video is brought to you by these patrons. Thank you for your support. So I'm going to try to do this quick. It is like 100 degrees out in this garage right now. I'm already sweating and I just set up. So let's get on with what's going on here. None of this is mine. This was given to me to fix because the person fixing it got completely fed up. It appears that they bought a kit of these changeovers, whatever you want to call them here. These are XT60s, and these are mini Tamiyas. Actually, it looks like there's a Tamiya connector and a mini Tamiya connector in here. Okay, so if we hook these guys together like that, and then you got, you know, the XT60s. So this is what he needs. He's got airsoft batteries here, and these are the mini Tamiyas. So the issue that he ran into, and this is how not to burn your house down, is airsoft and RC are different. These are made for RC, and then this is made for airsoft. And you might be wondering, well, what's the difference? The polarity. As you can see here, if I start to peel back some of his tape job here, and this is the other thing, like if you're going to do wiring like this, I would suggest like not putting tape on it, and certainly not soldering. I'm going to do these completely different, but the issue that you're going to run into here is this stuff is going to be moved around a lot, and even if you've got a great solder joint here, what's going to happen is where the solder stops, that's going to create a weak point as you bend this thing around, and I can already feel this thing like clicking and popping. But there's that. So I don't suggest having a solder joint right in the middle of your stuff like this. And the other issue you can see is it's a very cold solder joint. I mean, what he's got soldered is okay, but he obviously didn't pre-tin, and the wires aren't really wrapped right. And yeah, so we're just going to rebuild this completely. And then we're going to pay special attention to the polarity. So if I take this, right, you've got, this is an RC version, and this is your Tamiya, your mini Tamiya airsoft version. If you plug this in the way it goes, you can see you've got positive in the negative and negative in the positive. So we're going to fix that, and we're going to recycle these XT60s. I think that's probably the best way to do it. And then we're going to chuck these. Now, the real way to do this would be to use a Tamiya. There's a pin tool that sticks in there, and then you can pull these pins right out. There's no way to really do that without the actual pin tool. You might be able to get like a really small screwdriver in there, but I don't have a pin tool for Tamiyas. So I just decided to go this route. We're going to do, you know, brand new pins and brand new wire, and like I said, we'll recycle these XT60s. There's nothing wrong with them. It's just a matter of just pulling all this stuff out to get to them. So let's go ahead and do that. So to start off with, I've got some 14 gauge. I buy it in these. I think these are like 5 or 10 foot lengths. I don't use a ton of this stuff, so it doesn't make sense to buy like a 100-foot roll of it. It would just take up space. This is nice and compact, and you know, I might use one of these packages, I don't know, 6 months, a year, whatever. But so I think a reasonable length for this, especially because like I like to charge, if you're doing a small amount of batteries, I like to charge them in a battery safe. So you want a little bit of length to get to the battery safe. So I really feel like about yay long is probably ample. Grab my clippers. I'm not even going to measure this. I don't think it's necessary. Okay, so about yay long. That's, I don't know what, probably 8, 9 inches, something like that. And I am going to make 2 of these. So let me cut those now, and then this way I can. Okay, So I know I've showed these before. These are the iWiss. I know that it says it somewhere on them. Yeah, right there. iWiss 0.1 to 1 millimeter all wire gauge from 28 to 18. So we're going to be good with 14 in this. All right. And then we're going to need the metal pins here. And like I always say with these guys, is you can cut the ones that you want, but you want to leave this line of flashing. This is your friend when you're using these crimpers. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and knock off 2 of them. You can cut them right where the there is a circle and a rectangle. You just cut it right at the rectangle and then leave the flashing on there. Okay, so I'm going to cut them so that they're singles. We're going to need a total of 4 of these, so we'll do that. And I'm sorry this focus point is moving here. Okay, so there's that. We can put this guy away. Again, this package of these things, like these aren't anything special. I just grabbed the first ones I saw, because again, I don't really mess with Tamiya's all too often. So there is that. Now we have to split these, and to do this, you can kind of see that you want this wire about probably 1/8 of an inch, I think, is the best to splice these. Okay, and I'm going to splice them with this guy here. Okay, when doing this, go ahead and wrap that end like so, and there we go. My focus point just moved. Again, stay there. Okay, no, right there. Thank you. Thank you. That'll move as soon as I freaking do something else here. Okay, so now we're gonna go with the gauge. We got 14 gauge, so we're gonna be up in this, the closest one to my hand here. And the way this guy works is you want it's kind of shaped like this, okay? So you want to face that U shape up so it curls the 2 ends back in on the wire. And if you look at this, you can see it's got like the 2 little dimples on top and then the rounded section on the bottom. So what I usually do is just crimp this so it's tight enough that you can kind of get in there and hold it in place. And you want to really push. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get this in here. It says it goes down to 18 gauge. This might be too big. Might be just a pinch too big. We're going to try it. I'm actually going to cut this a little shorter here. You want, this is a 1/4 inch I cut back. I think we want really 1/8 of an inch. So I'm going to whack that back a little bit. And I think I said 1/8 inch, but I did a 1/4 inch. Yeah, these are probably not going to fit. So the trick here is you want there's 2 crimps. You want one crimp to crimp the wiring, and you want the other crimp to crimp over the coating of the wire. Okay, and we're going to try this in here. I don't know that this crimper is going to work. Like I said, it might work, it might not. So the trick here is you want to put that flashing right up to the tool, and that'll kind of line it. Wow. Don't stab yourself like I just did. That hurt. That hurt a lot. Okay, let's give her a go. Okay, crunch it down. And that worked out pretty well. Pretty well. I'm just going to hope that... Yeah, it's got the 2 fins. You can see there. Still got the 2 fins there to lock into the piece here. And then now we have the piece of flashing left. We can just go ahead and clip that off. Okay, there we go. So that is ready. Now we can take our mini Tamiya. What I'm going to do here is clip it in there, and we want this on this side here. Okay, just be careful that you're not grounding anything out doing this. So this guy should just roll right into place here. Okay, just like that. Click. Okay, so we got that. And again, I'm just going to pop this in here just to make sure that it's not pushing anything out. So we're good there. That's part of it. Again, this end, you could arc something doing that. So probably not a good idea. All right, that's that. Let's do a ground. And again, we want to do an 1/8 inch, not a 1/4 inch. So that should work. Right like that. My God, it is hot out here. It is hot. Okay. Now these you don't solder these. I mean, I guess you could put a dab on there, but it doesn't make sense to, because this is kind of a pliable connection. But if you do solder them and you have a really good reason why you solder them, let me know in the comments below. I'm interested to know what your reasoning is, because maybe I'm doing it wrong. I don't know. Okay, so I didn't quite crimp that all the way. Like I said, you want the flashing to touch the tool, and it's kind of tough because this doesn't really do 14 gauge wire, so I can't get this in there that easily. Oh, I see what's going on. I see what's going on. There we go. I'll show you what I just did in a moment here. There's a little button on this tool that if you get into a position like I just was, where it's stuck, you can release the tool. Okay. There we go. That'll crimp now. Perfect. Okay, that's crimped. So the way this guy works is it won't uncrimp until you're pushed all the way. We got a nice crimp that time. Okay, so if you're like halfway down like this, there's a little nub right here that if you kind of push up on, it'll release the tool and it'll open. So if you ever get stuck in the position that I was just in, you can totally unlock the tool like that. I know there's some of you who are watching this going, damn dude, I would have been done by now. You're more than welcome to come over and do this. It is so freaking hot out here. Ugh. But yeah, if you got some tricks or tips or whatever, go ahead and drop them in the comments below. If it helps somebody else, that's good. So I'm going to isolate these two ends. All right, so we're not grounding anything out, and I just want to make sure that this is going to sit perfect. Okay, just like that. Again, those two ends touch on a battery like this, sparks. Okay, so now we know that the polarity is right on this end. Okay, we're going to have to pay attention to the polarity on this end when we go plug this in. Okay. Just like that. All right, so the next step, and actually let's just finish off doing this. I got 2 more pins to do. So to me there's 2 schools of thought. There's like the assembly line version of this, where you just do all the same thing all at once and get that over with. or there's the let me complete one set of wires and then go back and complete the other set of wires. So I think that was gross. I just scratched my head and now there's water right there. Ugh. The things I do for you guys to try to get you content. Ugh. And again, I really hope this is on camera as good as I can do it here. I am just cooking here. So we're going to place that. Like I said, you got the two little clamps. The taller clamps are for the wiring, the coating, the silicone coating, and the shorter ones are just for your wires, the actual crimped wire there. Again, it doesn't like this 14 gauge wire in these crimps, so you got to kind of fight with it to make it happen, but it does happen, as I have shown. Okay. Yeah, we'll crimp it once there, and then push it in a little further and crimp it again. I don't know why it's really breaking my stones here, but it is. There it is. Is it? All right. When in doubt, if you can't quite get it, just come back with a pair of freaking. These are a set of flat-nosed pliers, and these are the. Oops. Come on, focus point. The PN 2007. These are the Hacko. Those are pretty good pliers if you're interested in them. Also, these cutters that I'm using absolutely rock too. And these are the Hacko CHP 170s. If you're interested in those are just a angled cutter there. Okay, so same thing here. I just want to line this up, and then I want to put the negative in the proper side. And once it's in, what I'm doing with this is I'm just kind of turning it to line those pins up, and then once they're lined up, it kind of seats right in place and locks in place like that. Okay, so there we go. And as you can see on these, there's a square side and a rounded side. And these are the male sides that I'm putting together, that because they have this pin. Actually, no, these are the female side actually. That's a female because there's a pin that fits in that. So this should be the male side. Yeah. Yeah, this is the male side. There's a pin in there. Again, it's not often that I deal with mini Tamiyas. And I apologize, my child is in bed, not really in bed. So if you can hear that background noise, she is up. She was sleeping for like 10 minutes and then popped back up. But she's laying down trying to go back to bed. So there's that. Okay, pop that guy there. And then kind of crank these guys down just a little bit to start it. Okay, I'm gonna start that over again. Yeah, so again, these are not really meant for this big a gauge wire, right? These go up to 18. So yeah, that works with 14. It's not supposed to. And boy, it crimps them. It definitely crimps them. So these are not going to be a problem. But it's not advertised to do what it just did. So you do what you want. If you want to grab a pair that does 14 gauge, or if you're going to do this in a different gauge, knock yourself out. Okay, so that end is done. Again, I just want to double check against this. Okay, so we got negative towards the top, negative towards the top. We're good. That end is done. Now we've got to tear into these guys. And like I said, I can see what he did here. He just cut it, stripped it, and tried to just make it happen. We're not going to do that. So what I want to do here is strip these guys out and desolder. So I'm going to do that with these cutters here. You can do this with an X-Acto if you got something like that, where you're cutting the shrink tube. And the other thing I'm going to use is these needle nose pliers just to kind of peel this stuff back. Okay. We want to get in there and access the old solder joint. Right like that. Okay. Perfect. And then let's get into this one. Perfect. Okay. Now, the trick with XT60s, if you're just dealing with these for the first time, so we do not deform, and usually the female end is fine, but so we don't deform anything. I always like to mate them together, and then this way there's a bit of heat transfer to the other end. So you don't melt the plastic of the XT60. Okay. So let me clean this up and get a little bit better set up here. All right, so now that we're a little cleaned up here, I want to tell you what I'm using here. This is I think the D15 2.4, is it? It's a 2.4 millimeter chisel tip, if it's correct. Let me just see here. Yeah, D24, T15 D24 in the FM 2027. I think that's probably one of the better sizes to do with this. Maybe the 3 millimeter. I don't know, but anyway, let's get these ends ready to go here. And the perfectionist in me wants these all the same size. So let's do that. And I am going to choke back about, or strip about 1/4 of an inch. And then we're gonna pre-tin that, especially because this is stranded wire. We're gonna pre-tin it. So let's put that guy on here. And a little bit of solder here. And if you're interested in the solder that I'm using, this is the Kester 6337, and I believe this is the .0. What is this? .031. This is my go-to solder. You can go a little thicker for this, but it's not necessary. Not necessary, and this is why I love a good soldering iron. There's no screwing around. Done. That's it. Love it. Absolutely love it. Okay, same thing here. We're gonna do a 1/4 inch. Probably go just a pinch smaller, but this is good, especially after you pre-tin it, you can cut it easier if you want to. Okay. Pop this guy in here, and this is the other thing. I got the Quad Hands magnetic workbench, and this is I still like it a lot. I've had it for probably 2 years now. Way better than those chintzy $7 stands. So there's that. We are pre-tinned, and now, like I said, I pop the other end on there to hold this, and we're going to remove the old wires from this. I'm going to grab it with the square needle nose here. We're just going to heat this guy up and pull him out. And if we're not getting any heat transfer, which we're not, I'm just going to add a little bit of solder. Oh, there it goes. Okay, a lot of times if you just add a little bit of solder to it, it will pull right off. Okay, just like that. So if you add solder, then you're adding liquid, and the reason that works is because it conforms better to the joint that you're dealing with. Okay. The other thing that I want to do is cut some shrink tubing, and I'm going to go about 1/2 inch. Yeah, about 1/2 inch. This is the 3x shrink tube. I like this stuff because it shrinks 3 to 1. And that is good because you can put it just about on any wire. Okay, so now we gotta make sure that we're gonna put this on properly, because this is marked, but again, I want to make sure that this is going to match the batteries that we're dealing with. So this is right for the battery, so we want the positive here. Yeah, so this is going to be the same as what we're usually dealing with. No surprises here. No surprises here, but what I don't want to do, yeah, no, the XT60 side is right, so I can follow that. So with this, I'm going to do this negative side first. I'm going to get this nice and hot. We're going to add some solder into this too, but get this guy nice and hot and stuff it in there. Come on, fit in there. Okay. Well, you know, and I even said it before. You can tell it's hot out here. I'm not with it. I even mentioned and cut the shrink tubing for this and forgot to put it on. So you can tell it's hot out here. All right, let's try that again. We'll go to the positive side this time then. All right, so we want to add our shrink tube first. Okay. Add the shrink tube first and put it all the way at the opposite end so that you don't melt it before you need to. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut just a pinch of this off of here. Okay. There we go. Let's try this again. So there's a little hole in this XT60 that I try to like stuff this into. And once they've been soldered like this, it's kind of hard to do. But it can be done. I don't know why I'm trying to fight with it barehanded here. Alright, so I cut that on a little bit of an angle so it fits inside that hole a little easier. And I'll fill in that gap with solder. There we go, perfect solder joint. I should have done that with the other one. Okay, so now that we've got that put together, just like that, we can take our shrink tube, and I'm going to wait a second for that to cool down a little bit. Okay, like I mentioned earlier, if it's not heating up and you can't get that solder joint, sometimes you just got to add some solder and it will loosen right up. So there we go, that's that one done. Now we can head back over to here to this one, which is cooled off. And we're going to slide our 3x shrink tube all the way into our XT60, just like that. Okay, and now that that is set, let's throw some heat on it. Okay, there we go. So that's one completed, and let's give it a check before we complete the other one. So the negative over here, positive over here, and our funky battery connects just like that. So we got our positive to positive. Now I don't need to worry about him blowing up his house. Okay, so let's finish off this last one, and we're good to go. This one I made just a little too long on this black wire, but I've had enough. It is way too hot. Way too hot. If you guys notice that there hasn't been a lot of videos out, this is why. It's been one heat wave after another heat wave, and they all decide to hit on my filming days, or at least every day during the week if that's not the case. So I apologize for the lack of videos. I apologize for that. Things will improve. What's the saying? The beatings will improve until, no, the beatings will continue until morale improves. Yep. So there's that. I don't know if I did this one as good. I guess I did, maybe. If you're interested, I'm using the Quick 861DW for this, and I have a video for it. I'll put the link right there. And I'm using this at 200C at 61 liters per, and the liters really don't matter, but I think it's liters per minute or something like that, if you're just interested in the ballpark area that I'm at for doing this. So there we go. We've got both our XT60s. We've got our positive like that, and our negative like that. So negatives on the square side. We're good. And I'll double check with both of these batteries. But there's that. So now, if you do this, it's probably a good idea to mark that these are for Airsoft and not for RC. I don't think he's into RC, so I'm gonna just let him roll like this and just tell him that these are Airsoft only. So there's that. Yeah. Oh, I know I mentioned it in earlier videos, but this week's or today's carry, look at that thing. Bam! This is the Hinderer XM18, and this is the slicer model and working finish. And this is bronze titanium with the Coyote scale. And I love this slicer grind. I feel like they put a better edge on these than most of their other ones. This is out of M390. It's a pretty damn good steel. The fine edge on it disappears awfully quickly in use, but it holds a good working edge after that, which doesn't seem to go away very easily. And I guess I hear that you can sharpen it back to a nice fine edge fairly easily. So there's that. I still got to move the pocket clip to the other side. I like carrying it with the tip up, and they like shipping these things with the tip down. This, I believe, is the Gen 6, which is the triple bearing system. It comes with the ball bearings in there, or you can put phosphor browns, or I believe the plastic, like the nylon, but I'm leaving the bearings in there. So that's my carry. I know I spoke about this in an earlier video and haven't been able to do it, so yeah. Oh, and fair warning, if you do manage to get a Hinderer, they're addicting. Not only to flick, well, some people bitch about the thumb stud being a little hard on their fingers. My fingers are shot, so it doesn't matter. But they are definitely addicting. You get one, you're gonna want more. And just look at that. Just look at that. Just look at that. And then that edge. Try to do this without slicing myself open here. Not a mirror polish, but there you go. Yeah, so one of my favorite blades right here, if you can get your hands on one. There still are some available if you look hard enough. So there's that. I know I had mentioned I would do like a daily carry section towards the end of these films, and I forgot the past couple times to do it, so here you go. If you enjoyed that section, let me know in the comments below. Maybe I'll make it an all the time thing, because I've always got something on me, and I feel like they are very good to have. And if you got a nice blade, holy, they are fun to have. So, oh, with that, anytime you're storing your soldering iron, especially like right now, it's like freaking 85% humidity, and like 1,000 degrees in this garage. Just coat the end of your soldering iron, put it away hot, and then your tip will last longer. It's always nice to have a longer tip. So there's that. We've accomplished what we need to do here. He now can charge his puffed up batteries without having to worry about melting down his house. And now he's got no soldering joint in the middle of his wires here. But yeah, these guys, these are puffed. These are done. So let's just make sure these are right. Yeah, positive to positive, negative to negative, positive to positive, negative to negative. Perfect. I'm calling this job done. Awesome. He did give me another project that I may or may not do. He dropped off, I believe it's a Mavic. I gotta look at it, and I think that'll probably be our next video. Is I gotta take a look at that and find out what's wrong with it, what it is, what kind of parts he needs, etc., etc. Because I think it's a Mavic, but it's not a Pro. I think it's the earlier model, and he had wiped it out, and we're gonna try to fix it. He gave it to me. He gave me some parts and said, "Look, I got no time to do this. You have the capability of doing it, so you do it." So here it is. So yeah, I figured I'd get this one out of the way, and we'll fire up that project next. So we'll take a look at it on camera, and we'll find out what parts we need, and we'll repair what we can. I think the case is cracked, or the shell. So if any of you know where to get a spare shell for DJI Mavics, let me know. I don't know if I can 3D print one. I don't know how well that would go over, but I can try. But again, that's next video. We'll see all that. I really don't have time before that to get parts for that video, so you and I will do that together. So until then, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and click that thumbs up button. If it helped you out, let me know in the comments below. And if you haven't done it already, like 96% of you have not, go ahead and punch that subscribe button, because it's fun and you only get to do it once. And I'll catch you later. Peace.